my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida, and today's date is Friday, November 20th, 2020. Ooh, yeah, so horrific incident happened in Wisconsin, the greater Milwaukee area. Looks like it was a little shooting spree, according to Epoch Times, 8 to 12 rounds. Hopefully folks are all right. And I'm going to do a little homework on it before I do my intake. I did post it on Facebook and Twitter, by the way. So if you folks want to check that out. And, yeah, looks like Dominion withdrew from the whole Pennsylvania ordeal, so of course you got typical folks out there who are going, he's got to concede, and even Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, try to put his 2 cents in. Shut up. All you clowns, just shut the hell up. You have no merit. You guys are not constitutionally inclined. Just be quiet. That's how I look at it, my friends. Very intriguing indeed. I don't get mad. I just laugh. It's like a comedy show. Here are all these bobbleheads, bend over bobs, tyrannical bootlickers, all trying to make their points across. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it has no value. With all due respect. It's a comedy show. All the world's a stage as usual. Yep. Mal havoc everywhere. I know I'm repeating myself. But, that's the world is right now. Friends don't let friends join the New World Order coup. Yes, I haven't used that term in a while. But it is a coup, my friends, on what's going on. And some people are still semi-blinded by that light. Couldn't see right through it. Many of us have been observing very thoroughly. It's a slow pace. And now they're all out there bare ass naked. If you get rid of the mainstream garbage media out of your system and all the pathetic opinions out there, you can see it a lot more thorough on what's happening. Well, that's how I look at it. But still, mark it on your calendar, January 6, 2021, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, in Washington, D.C.'s House of Chambers. Then, expect a cloak and dagger extravaganza in that particular chapter. Prepare yourself, my friends. Not saying it's set in stone. I may have repeated myself a couple of shows ago on this. Sorry about that. Forgive me if you can. Yeah, so, a couple of cases. It looks like going to the Supreme Court. And for the Epoch Times, is in reference to the Fourth Amendment, searches and seizures. It looks like this one. Island? Yep, on the judiciary. And it came out today, written by Matthew Vadum, right? Yep, Vadum. It's under judiciary. Supreme Court agrees to hear Rhode Island warrantless gun-seizure case. This is what Mr. Vadum has to say. The Supreme Court has decided to hear a gun-seizure case from Rhode Island that questions whether the community caretaking exception to the Fourth Amendment warrant requirement applies to a personal residence. The High Court granted the petition in the case known as Caniglia versus Strom on November 20th. There's a link for that. You can see it for yourself. Without explaining why, as it is custom, it is an appeal from the First Circuit Court of Appeals. At the same time, the court also agreed to hear a separate unrelated case, United States of America versus Cooley, which concerns whether evidence can be used in court when a tribal police officer detains a non-Indian on a reservation based on a potential violation of state or federal law. There's a link for that too. It's like over 200 pages long. Please, folks, do a little reading. Trust me, you like this. It's a very interesting case here. The community caretaking doctrine that issued in the Caniglia case holds the police do not always operate as law enforcement officials investigating wrongdoing, but sometimes may function as community caretakers to prevent harm in emergency situations. Supreme Court held in Katie versus Dombrowski in 1973 that police could carry out warrantless searches related to community caretaking functions, though the case only dealt with searches in the context of vehicle accidents. The principle has been applied much more broadly since then and has become, as a First Circuit case stated in the Caniglia case, a catch-all for a wide range of responsibilities that police officers must discharge aside from their criminal enforcement activities. Edward Caniglia, 68, has no criminal history and no record of violence. According to the petition his lawyer filed with the High Court on August 10th, he had been married with his wife Kim for 22 years. When, on August 20th, 2015, they had a disagreement inside their Cranston, Rhode Island home. The argument escalated that he retrieved an unloaded gun from their bedroom and placed the gun on the living room table where he said, "Why don't you shoot me and get me out of my misery?" All right, well, I don't know. Well, I'll just keep on going here. He left home when his wife said she would call 911. She did not call. The argument resumed when he returned home and she decided to spend the night at a motel. She tried to reach him by telephone and became concerned when he did not pick up. She asked Cranston police to do a welfare check on her husband and escort her to the home. She told police her husband might be suicidal. The police called the husband, who sounded fine, and escorted the wife to the home, telling her to remain in the car while they spoke with the husband on the back deck. The husband advised police he had said, "Just shoot me," because he couldn't take it anymore. The police dispatched a rescue lieutenant from the Cranston Fire Department to the Caniglia's home, who advised the husband he was taking him to a local hospital. The husband went along after police assured him they would not take his 2 handguns. He was discharged from the hospital the same day. The police told the wife they had to seize the husband's guns based on his state of mind and feared his life and others could be endangered if they left the guns in the home. After the police officers falsely represented to Miss Caniglia that petitioner has consented, she led the officers to the guns, at which point they seized them. The wife went to the police station days later to retrieve the guns, and the police refused her request. The husband did the same thing a month later and got the same result. The husband's attorney also sought the return of the guns, and his request was denied. Police generally cannot conduct searches of private property without consent or warrant. The husband sued, challenging the legality of what amounted to a warrantless seizure of the firearms contrary to the Fourth Amendment, but the district court and the First Circuit allowed the search under the community caretaking exception. The husband argues in the Supreme Court brief that the exception should not be applied inside the home, the most protected of all private spaces. Extending the community of caretaking exception to the home would create a loophole in the Fourth Amendment's warrants requirement wide enough to drive a truck through, the petition states. So long as an officer reasonably claims to be taking care of the community, he can disregard Fourth Amendment protections. The city of Cranston takes the position that police acted properly. There is no good reason to limit the application of the community caretaking doctrine to automobile inventory searches, the city stated in a brief in opposition to the petition for the Supreme Court review. The Epoch Times reached out to attorney Mark DeCito, counsel of the record for the city, for a comment, but he did not immediately respond. Based on this article, with all due respect, both Mr. and Mrs. Caniglia should have said no and kept their mouth shut. Assuming gets you in big trouble, folks. That's what's disturbing. Alright? And of course, the police says one thing, they'll do another. Remember, they're governmental delegates. I'm not going after the police as a whole, too, my friends. It's just you gotta stick to your principles. Have the right to remain silent. That was the error of Edward Caniglia. When he made that statement about why don't you just shoot me and get me out of my misery. He should have said the damn thing to the police. And of course, Mrs. Caniglia made a statement, he might be suicidal. He's just, respectfully, they both entrapped themselves. When it comes to family disputes, have people that you care for one another try to resolve it instead of have law and order come in every time. That's the first time I heard about this. And don't get me wrong, I'm questioning the police's actions on this article as well. Don't be a yes person. Plain and simple. I don't give a damn if they try to con you 1,000 times. Definitely, I'm curious how this case is going to go. But I do find this very disturbing. That's how I observe. Like she led the after the officers falsely represented to Mrs. Caniglia that petitioner had consented. She led the officers to the guns. Okay. Yes, sir. Big mistake. I wouldn't buy it one bit. Vigilance is always important, my friends. And it's interesting, too, because I'm looking at, browsing through Article 1 of Rhode Island's Constitution under Declaration of Rights. And it looks like here, due process is in question. Equal protection, Section 2. All free governments are instituted for the protection, safety, and happiness of the people. All laws, therefore, should be made for the good of the whole, and burdens of the state ought to be fairly distributed among its citizens. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall any person be denied equal protection of the laws. Okay? That's how far I'm going to go on that one. Of course, I need you to get right for justice on here. Text Section 5. Entitlement to remedies for injuries and wrongs. Right to justice. Every person within this state ought to find a certain remedy by having recourse to the law for all injuries or wrongs which may be received in one person's property or character. Every person ought to obtain right and justice freely and without purchase, completely and without denial, promptly and without delay, comfortably through the laws. All right, of course, Section 6 is very similar to the Fourth Amendment. I'll just skip that. I'm just looking through here. And of course, they violated Section 10, rights of the accused in criminal proceedings. There was no crime. They still took his stuff anyway. Ex post facto law, Section 12, laws impairing obligation of contract. No ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contract shall be passed. I can say color law on this one. Of course, self-crimination. Section 13, no person in the court of common law shall be compelled to give self-incriminating evidence. Always look at that. Section 16, compensation for taking private property. Nah, that's not it. Let's talk about that. No. I'm just browsing through here, folks. Of course, redress of grievances. Yeah, that's no problem. Right to keep and bear arms. The right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If there's any gun control laws in the state of Rhode Island, is null and void. You can hit Section 13 as well on the ex post facto laws or impairing contract. Nope, sorry about that. 12, Section 12. Okay? You can counter with that. Yeah, don't be a bunch of yes people up there. Good grief. Rights not enumerated. States' rights not dependent on federal rights. The enumeration of foregoing rights shall not be construed to impair or deny others retained by the people. The rights guaranteed by this Constitution are not dependent on those guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States. So this is mainly equivalent to the Ninth Amendment, Section 24 of Rhode Island's Declaration of Rights. So, the biggest challenge is why they made these statements. Why did Mr. Cagnaglia made that statement to the police and his wife escorted him to get the guns? Boom. 2 potholes they made and trapped themselves. One of those areas, folks, you vigilant. Don't think the police know everything. They're human beings and they're governmental delegates. Try to resolve it with yourselves. The best you can. Alright? Because people call for little things. Yeah, they had a dispute. Okay, shit happened. They've been around for 22 years? Come on. Now they both got slapped in the face by the state. By Cranon, right? Cranon's finest. Have a cup of coffee. Always remain vigilant, folks. Remember, police are human beings too. They make their mistakes. I know. I got caught in a bind one time. But I didn't crucify him. But I just kept my mouth shut. I just made one question. Boom. They try to hustle me, and I counter it. Dead issue. I just kept my mouth shut. Then the victims knew it wasn't me. Officer that cuffed me or pointed a gun at me apologized. And you know what? I have no vindication towards them. It's a human element. But something like this. Stand up for your rights. Plain and simple. You have obligations. Doesn't matter where you're at. There's one lesson people got to learn, and I wish the best for Mr. Cagnaglia. Get his rights restored. Get his firearms back, or be compensated, and go file a lawsuit against him under Title 42 U.S. Code, Section 1983. All right? Well, that's my intake on it. What's yours? I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you said something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to Decorum. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnotes of this episode on my Spreaker page. If you want to contact me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. I like to hope you donate to Epoch Times. If you want to send me some love, you can hit me at paypal.me/LokiLuck3. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.